Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Glad to have this man back. He is the House Oversight Committee Chair. It is U.S. Representative, great state of Kentucky, Jamie Comer. Jamie, how you doing? Good to see you.
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Comer.house.gov. So happy days could be here again, although a lot of people are trying to thwart what President Trump would bring in. Just give me your overview when we saw the landslide win on that Tuesday, on the 5th. You and I both knew that it wasn't going to be 36 days before we found out who won. We would actually go to bed that night knowing who won.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, it was a mandate. And when Trump says he got a mandate, that's a fact. He got a mandate. He won just about every demographic you can think of. He was strong in blue states, just a resounding victory. And it did a lot of things. It showed the American people are keeping up. They're not buying what the mainstream media and what the liberal Democrats have been selling for the last 2 or 3 years with respect to threat to democracy and all of that. They want change. They want someone to come in and disrupt Washington. They want to reduce the size of the government. They want to secure the border. All the things the Democrats had an opportunity to do and they didn't do, the American people want Donald Trump and the Republican Congress to do.
And they certainly want you to head that off of the Oversight Committee. What happens now? You get a mandate, as you said, the Senate, the House, the presidency, the Supreme Court. It's all looking very conservative. It's all looking very constitutional. Will you better be able to do your job as the Oversight Committee Chair in getting action done? You've been very direct.
Absolutely.
You've uncovered all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Can you go forward now?
Yeah, now we can hold people accountable. I mean, that's the frustration everybody had. You know, the Oversight Committee, we would find out, well, the Bidens had all these shell companies and they were laundering money. And Joe Biden lied about it. I mean, we found all these crimes, and everybody's like, okay, what now? Well, I mean, you refer them to the Department of Justice,
right?
And Merrick Garland would just, take our referral through a shredder. Now we're going to have a Republican Attorney General. We're going to have a new FBI director that will cooperate with our investigations and turn over information that we request. I mean, it's a whole different ballgame with respect to oversight and accountability in Washington. I mean, we would meet roadblocks in the Senate. We would meet roadblocks in the White House. Now we have everything. And I'm not going to say the Senate's going to be a nice, smooth road. It still takes 60 votes to get things through the Senate. But it's a better deal. The Democrats don't have subpoena power. Everything's changed. And now we've got an opportunity. We've got 2 years to prove to the American people they made the right decision and giving Republicans everything. And I hope we can do that.
District 1 Republican, great state of Kentucky. It's James Comer. Go and follow him everywhere. When it comes to Jamie Raskin, I never thought he could have done it anyway. And that's your buddy that you told to get therapy, Jamie Raskin.
Yeah.
When it comes to Raskin, he was saying that he would make sure Trump wouldn't be seated. This is before the election, because it's going to use the third section of the 14th Amendment. He would have had to have the House to do that, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Look, Jamie Raskin, he talks about election deniers. He's denied 2 elections. He denied the 2000 election, and he denied the 2012 election. 2016 election.
Yeah.
Look, this guy is the biggest hypocrite. He's the most dishonest person in Washington, and that's a pretty high bar to say you're the most dishonest person in Washington. But that would be Jamie Raskin. And he said what he was going to do. He was transparent with the American people. He was going to subpoena everybody. He was going to make Trump's life miserable. He was going to try to not seat Trump. If Trump won, he was going to deny the election. He just knew the Democrats were going to flip the House. And I tell you what, he's figured out a lot of what Jamie Raskin's concocted. Jamie Raskin concocted the insurrection phrase. He came up with threat to democracy. All of these terms the Democrats campaigned on that didn't work, they came from Jamie Raskin. So now I believe he's kind of an outcast in the Democrat Party, which is where he should be.
I agree with you. District 1 Republican, great state of Kentucky, James Comer. Let's talk about Merrick Garland. Once the Department of Justice goes to the Trump administration, you can have oversight over what he was pulling. Is there something to investigate there? Because you've got the guy, the number 3 guy, Colangelo, leaves the Department of Justice, goes to some local DA's office and prosecutes Trump. There's got to be something there, no?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's something Jim Jordan's going to lead with Judiciary Committee. Look, no one would deny that they weaponized the Department of Justice against Republicans. And I think the American people saw that all these stunts, all these court cases with Trump, they actually backfired against the Democrats. It actually helped Donald Trump. And I think it scared a lot of people. The vote that Donald Trump got with African American men and with Hispanic men. These are,
Right.
if you go into prison, that's the main demographic in the prison, and they feel like the justice system isn't fair.
Right.
And they saw that Donald Trump was being mistreated by a biased Department of Justice and a biased Attorney General. And I think that's one reason Donald Trump did so well. The American people don't have confidence in our system of justice in America. And that's a terrible place to be, because we used to be the model for the planet in the United States. So we're going to have to totally reform that agency. And it's not just with the new Attorney General. You mentioned the number 3 guy, the Leslie Wolf, who was the career prosecutor in Delaware that was behind all the Biden cover-ups. We have to find the bureaucrats that have merit, that are civil servants, that are protected by tenure, and have to fire them.
Yes.
And the media is going to say it's retaliation. It's not retaliation. It's accountability, holding people accountable for abuse of power. And that's what we've had in the Department of Justice.
Well, exactly right. I mean, I don't want to see Merrick Garland. I think those watching, listening, don't want to see him and Jack Smith right off into the sunset. Like Jack Smith starts packing his boxes like he's done. No, you did some really bad stuff, and you spent millions of dollars, and you raided the former president's house. James, I think what people don't want is these people just to get off and not have any repercussions.
No, and I hope that doesn't happen. I'm going to do everything in my ability to see it doesn't happen. The biggest mistake Jack Smith made was the raid on Mar-a-Lago, and I think that resonated with a lot of people. I think that's when people realized that this Democrat regime was out of control. They were abusing their power. They had a weaponized 2-tier system of justice, and they were fed up with it. And I think that the American people expect Jack Smith to be drug in before Congress and answer some questions. And I think they expect Merrick Garland to answer some questions. So hopefully that day will come very soon.
Chairman of the House Oversight Committee, it is Jamie Comer from Kentucky. Let's talk about FEMA. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is supposed to be there in case of an emergency. Not supposed to be there if people are breaking the law, coming across the border. Not supposed to be there to help people on parole illegally or to help people who are so-called asylees that 90% get sent back. It's supposed to be there when the hurricane comes through. And Jamie just wasn't there. And then Kamala Harris shows up and offers up $750. Then you had to apply for the $750. Many were turned down for that. They couldn't even get that. There are people right now in Western North Carolina that might be picking us up on some sort of a patched together internet connection to hear the show, who are still wondering, when will somebody come and help me? What are you going to find out tomorrow on this hearing?
We're going to ask all those questions. We have so many questions for FEMA. This will probably be a 6-hour hearing, so I think a lot of questions will get asked, and hopefully we'll get some answers. But what it appears with the text message that we've all seen from the FEMA employee that instructed her subordinates to not go to homes that had Trump signs in the yard or Trump flags, that does not appear to be an isolated incident. My fear is that's a pattern. We've talked to other FEMA employees. We've talked to other people in other states that face similar circumstances over the last 3 years. That FEMA is like the Department of Justice, and most of the government agencies under the Biden-Harris administration, they've become weaponized, and they have a bias against conservatives. And that's not what FEMA is supposed to be about. FEMA is supposed to be the first agency on the ground after a catastrophe. They're supposed to be able to provide food and shelter immediately, to coordinate rescue and recovery, and then to do the debris removal. And what you saw time and time again over the past year and a half with these hurricanes is that people in affluent neighborhoods or people with Trump signs in the yard, they were never visited by FEMA. They were bypassed in the more Democrat districts, according to FEMA, and the more likely Biden supporters. And I think that people need to be terminated because of that. Yeah. And that's another agency that needs to be disrupted and completely cleaned out.
Well, Representative, did you see the lady on Fox?
Yep.
She said the rule is, if you fear your safety, you don't have to go to that house. That meant for like a vicious dog, or somebody was pointing a gun, or says we have a bunch of guns here, something that made you feel fear. There is no fear involved in somebody having a sign about a political person. None whatsoever. Does she get away with saying that? She literally, to this moment, Jamie, she still thinks that she had the right to not go there and help people.
Yeah. Well, we hope to find some more information out from her. That we plan on interviewing her, deposing her, whatever we have to do. We're going to hear from the FEMA director first, and then we're going to go from there. But you've got this culture in America where, because of MSNBC and CNN saying Republicans were a threat to democracy,
Right.
Trump supporters are insurrectionists, and all these lies that they said, maybe there was a part of people that thought that. Maybe they believe that, but there's no excuse for it. Everybody's supposed to be treated equal. Justice is blind. And I mean, look, I don't think the American taxpayers want to hear stories where people in need were bypassed because they were Republicans. And that's what's been happening at FEMA.
House Oversight Committee Chair, it's Jamie Comer from District 1 of the great state of Kentucky. How does the Pentagon fail 7 audits in a row? And it's just, let's just keep spending the $824 billion and they can't account for where it went?
The Pentagon's a disgrace. Look, one of the biggest arguments I get in with my Republican colleagues is they say, we can't cut anything with military spending. I would argue there's as much waste, fraud, and abuse in military budget as any part of the federal government. And to continue to give the Pentagon a blank check, we're not just talking about Ukraine funding. We're talking about overall operations of the Pentagon. They have no idea where their money's going at the Pentagon. They haven't known for over a decade. So this agency needs to be disrupted. I mean, the whole town here in Washington needs to be disrupted. And I'm glad Trump's nominating people that these bureaucrats don't like. Some of them, I've been surprised that he's nominated. They wouldn't have been my first choice. But seeing the reaction of the bureaucrats, it kind of makes me happy. I'm glad the Department of Justice doesn't like Matt Gaetz. I'm glad there's people in the Pentagon that don't like the nominee. Look, this is what I want to see. We got to have people to come in and disrupt the place, and you can't disrupt it without holding people accountable and totally changing the business model. And that's what I hope Trump gets done.
It is Jamie Comer, District 1 Republican, great state of Kentucky. What do you think about Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy getting together with this Department of Governmental Efficiency? You see where Elon got rid of 80% of the workers on X or Twitter, and it's even more efficient now than it ever has been.
Yep.
Is that what has people shaking in their boots the most in Washington? He's going to go in and just start slashing.
It has the federal bureaucrats shaking in the boots. Look, I talked to Vivek today on the phone. We're going to work very closely with the Department of Government Efficiency, my oversight committee, and my colleagues like Marjorie Taylor Greene. We're going to work very closely in trying to help highlight what they're doing. There's going to be certain pieces of legislation that they're going to need to be able to implement some of these reform efforts that they plan on doing. Like, for example, making the federal employees go back to work. They haven't been to work since COVID.
What is that?
And there's legislation that we passed out of the House. It was my bill last session called the Show Up Act. Well, the Senate wouldn't take it up because they don't want to make the federal employees mad. There are federal agencies where only 13% of the employees are showing up for work.
That's crazy.
So there's things that we can do in Congress. Hopefully, we passed bills for government efficiency out of the House last year, even as fractured as we were in the House. We got the vote somehow to pass them out of the House. But then Chuck Schumer never would take them up. Hopefully Thune will take them up. And I think that Trump's beginning to put a sense of urgency, I'll say, on some of these senators, that they better get with the program and go along with the changes that the American people expect.
Well, I think you're right.
Yeah.
No, I think that they don't realize that they will be on the outs. The American people right now are energized and really want to see some positive change out of where you work and out of the entire country. The woke stuff's got to go away. I love these nominees so far because it's shaking everybody up. It's Jamie Comer. Let me ask you about this money to Ukraine. The money was allotted to Ukraine, the $60 billion, which is so stupid. It's a total of $200 billion all in, and people just keep on dying over there. It doesn't make any sense. But you just had Antony Blinken show up a few days ago and proudly say, we sent $8 billion more in September, sent a $500 million 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to work with the President Biden until January 20th to get every dollar out the door we can. Hey, Jamie, that money was supposed to be over the fiscal year, which ends in September. They're trying to cram it all out now. Can they?
Yep. They've been doing stuff like that through the entire Biden administration. No one gave them the authority to cancel student loan debt. And the Supreme Court said that it was unconstitutional, but they did it anyway. I mean, this administration has been the least transparent. And I think the Republicans in the House have tried to kick and scream, But at the end of the day, you didn't have a Senate that was willing to work with us. And then obviously the White House. Now's the opportunity. We've got a window of opportunity for 2 years to get the system back working the way it was supposed to, and Congress appropriates the money. And I can tell you, Congress, I don't think would keep sending Ukraine money. I voted against all the Ukraine funding bills.
Right.
I don't think there are many people in Congress that can tell you with confidence where 100% of that money's going. You say, where'd the money go? They say Ukraine. Well, what for the war? I mean, that's the type of transparency that a lot of my colleagues talk about up here. Hopefully, with Trump making this a priority to end the war and to stop sending taxpayer dollars to foreign countries and to put America first, hopefully, we're going to see some significant changes with where our tax dollars are sent.
Well, at the very least, Congressman, shouldn't we not hold up small business in Ukraine while small business fails here? Should we not pay their pensions while our pensions are at risk here? Should we not fix their roads as I keep on hitting potholes here? It wasn't just for the war. It was to prop this country up economically while we were failing economically. Can that stop?
Yeah, and I think it should. Hopefully, now that we've got a president that feels the same way and he's in line with the majority of the American people, hopefully it will stop.
It is Congressman James Comer. I really appreciate your time. I love that you're the chairman of the Oversight Committee. And you and I have talked a bunch of times, dozens of times now, about how you want to do it, but it's not easy when you have the other side working against you in such a powerful way in the actual executive and also over in the Senate. Now that you've got it all, the people can't wait for you to be unleashed. It's going to be great.
Yeah. It's our opportunity. It's our time, and hopefully we can get it done.
Comer.house.gov. Go and follow him. Thank you, Jamie. We're back after this. Stay right here.